Hello, everyone out there. I am Nick with Mysterious Galaxy Bookstore. Welcome to another virtual event. We have a terrific spooky YA panel here for you. Of course, in the month of Spooks, October, we have Alison Ames, Tori Bovalino, and Catherine Yu. Hello.
Hi.
So Alison Ames is the author of To Break a Covenant, and It Looks Like Us, her latest book right here. Tori Bovalino is the author of The Devil Makes Three and Not Good for Maidens, and the editor of The Gathering Dark, an anthology of folk horror, which was just a recent YA group staff pick, our YA group discussion pick for our store. I wish I could hold it. It's currently in back order, but don't worry, more are on the way. And we have some really cool book plates for it too, signed by all of the authors who contributed to it. Lastly, Catherine Yu is a graduate of Odyssey Writing Workshop and writes dark speculative fiction. DIREWOOD, which came out September 20th of this year, is her debut novel, this one right here. And I must say, when we had you last time in conversation, I saw this cover and I was like, oh yes. It is so good.
It's giving so emo 2000s. I mean that in a really good way.
Oh no, I would hope.
What is bad emo 2000s?
I don't know.
And then for everyone out there, if you want to purchase any of their books, either the ones I mentioned or any of their backlists, if you click a link below, they'll take you to our website where you can order the books you want, and we will make sure to get signed book plates with your order while supplies last. Also, if you have any questions that you want to ask anytime during the event, you can click the Ask a Question button and submit those, and I will be back later on to ask those of the authors. All right, for now, I'm going to go ahead and disappear, but thank you very much, and I'll see you all in a bit.
Hello. Wow. Voice crack on the very first word. Hello.
So authentic. Just keeping it so
I know, right? Sorry, I'm just like a floating head. I keep adjusting my light and I'm continuously dark. Do we want to
It's going to be like a Lord video where she just has the light going around her the whole time.
Yeah.
Just keep it on a rotation.
Just flash warning. But yeah, so that's good. So I have 10 questions for everybody today, but do we just want to start out and tell me a little bit about what your books are about? Whoever wants to go first.
I'm good at first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my book Direwood is about a girl whose older sister goes missing, and no one in her town seems to think there's anything strange going on or just in denial about it, but she knows it's vampires. And when a vampire comes, she follows and things get worse. So that's basically my amazing elevator pitch for myself.
Amazing. I love how she's like vampires.
Vampires.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Alison, what are your books about? Books, plural. We haven't had a chat since plural.
Since plural, we did it. We made it plural. Super quick sidebar for Catherine, just because you mentioned 2000s emo. I keep getting this sponsored ad for this. It's like a pearl. It's like a string of pearls necklace with 4 strings of pearls. But then over on this side, they're all
bleeding?
red. And
I think
like
it's the same one.
Yes.
I feel like we just.
But that was the
Wow,
first
that's
thing.
funny.
That was the first thing that came to mind when you said that, and I was like, I really wish all of us were, but especially you.
That's so funny because as soon as you were describing it, I was like, I've seen this image online, so
yeah.
That is, I think that is the vibe for Direwood.
Yeah, next
so I'm
time
Alison Ames.
Sorry,
the first book is called To Break a Covenant. It is about, I think we're all a little off. It's totally fine. To Break a Covenant is about a group of girls who live in a basically exact replica of an abandoned mining town that they are very, very close to, that was abandoned because the mine caught on fire and caused the town to be unlivable. So the new industry of the town is ghost tours because they can no longer do coal stuff. And they get a new girl in their friend group, and her dad has moved them to town to basically check out the mine and see if it is stable and if it's collapsing and if they're in danger. And he goes down there and he spends more time down there and he starts to become strange, and then he does not come back. And so they have to go into the mine basically to rescue him and possibly the town and possibly themselves. So that's To Break a Covenant. And then It Looks Like Us, which is the one that just came out, is about teens who go to Antarctica on a research internship with a big tech company to see if microplastic pollution has made it to the last unpolluted continent. And whilst they are there, there is a monster, and it can take the shapes of them and the people in the expedition. And by the time they realize that, it is unfortunately, it's go time. So that's the elevator pitch for that one. So
Topical.
yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here with two people whose work I love. I have written a couple books. The first is The Devil Makes Three, which is about two teenagers who find a book in their school library, discover that it has a demon inside of it. I haven't talked about this book in like a year now that I'm like pitching it. I'm like, what is it about? I don't know. I know. What is happening? Yeah, release a demon and gotta get him back. The second is Not Good for Maidens, which is a retelling of Christina Rossetti's Goblin Market set in modern day York, England. Two timelines, one set 16 years in the past, one set in the current day, as a family of witches negotiate the intricacies of the Goblin Market. And then I edited an anthology, which is a collection of 10 short stories. Can I count? I don't know. So it's 10 short stories, and basically everyone just wrote a horror story based on either like a small town legend or piece of folklore that they grew up with or knew generally. Yeah. And that is about it. So going back to childhood.
Wonderful.
Thanks. So what drew you to horror in the first place?
I can start this one because I was having a sort of a rediscovery of my roots recently. Obviously, we all sort of had a jump, I think, from middle grade to like whatever adult book was around us. So I read a lot of adult horror stuff probably too early, but I do think more of my horror roots are in Animorphs than I fully reckoned with. But like the body horror and the trauma and the explorations of really horrific things happening, and then you just have to go home for dinner or whatever, like curfew. I think that's probably where a lot of my very specific brand of bananas started was with the Animorphs.
Amazing.
Yeah, I also think I read probably adult horror too fast. Just thinking of like how very like undeveloped my brain was when I read Flowers in the Attic. Just that was it was just
the perfect time.
It was a ride. But before then, I was really into Scooby-Doo, I would say, is my my foray into horror. I think I love a monster of the week, and it's some guy.
Yeah.
Like, love that. Love a ragtag team. Love that anyone can solve crime. So, and I like believe that. Like, and I take that with me. Anyone can solve crime. So I think that really stuck with me.
I love that.
Basically.
What was your favorite? Oh, okay, I have a visceral memory of the Zombie Island one.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why that was so scary.
Like anytime they did actual, like they got into like actual supernatural territory, which was rare, but always like so delightful when they did.
Is that the one with the like caves or like underground,
I feel like
or is that a different Scooby-Doo?
I think the one with the caves is the one with the hot band
Oh,
of
the
like
Hex
guitar
Girls?
playing.
Hex
Yeah,
Girls.
yes, I think so.
Yeah, that might be the Hex Girls are also the
Cartoons,
like
you know.
witch one.
Yes,
We're fine. Yeah.
very, very normal.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
I think Scooby-Doo had it all. Like
Yeah.
they had the witches, they had zombies, they had like they had guys, but they also had the supernatural. There was a lot of like directions it went in terms of like types of monsters.
The two biggest capers, men in the supernatural. Like,
Yep.
excellent. We have all of our bases covered.
You've got it all. Tori, what about you?
Oh, goodness. Don't you just hate when your own questions bounce back at you? I don't know. So I feel like going back through these, I have the same answer as a lot of horror authors and both of you, in that I read up to my age group until I could no longer get the things that I wanted out of it, which was for some inexplicable reason like gore. I'm not like a horror movie person. I was like, yeah, give me the details. So yeah, I definitely did like Goosebumps and Fear Street, and then straight to Stephen King.
Yep.
And then yeah, kind of just on from that. But yeah, I definitely like, I loved all books growing up, but there was something very like particular about horror, and I think like maybe it made me feel more grown up. And maybe I just liked books that made me feel things, because I loved either being scared or crying when reading a book. Yeah, I just think it's like a show of a good writer really nowadays is when you have that sort of visceral reaction. I think horror gets it, maybe a little bit easier.
I mean, that's what I'm banking on. I'm like, I don't know if I can make someone cry, but I can hopefully make them want to turn on a light.
I should turn on a light. That's amazing. But yes. So kind of going off on the same chain. So if we all loved horror, growing up and really liked reading it, did you know when you started writing that this was what you wanted to write? Or do you set off on a different path and just end up here? I should probably be nice and
I think
go first for one. But you go, Allison. I'll go first for the next one.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm just like, oh, dead air. I have to.
I know.
I feel like I assumed that I was going to be here. I've done other. I'm gonna try and really get an Alex Trebek run up on it. I've done other genres, but everything I do eventually like turns toward horror, whether or not I'm trying to. And I don't know if that's like, I have a weird broken part of my brain where everything is automatically like the worst case scenario. And that does happen if I'm inventing stuff also. So if it's like, oh, it's a nice romance, like I'm doing fan fiction, everything's great, there does eventually become a sidebar where it's like, but something's haunted in the coffee shop for some reason, in the coffee shop AU. So I think when I was playing, I didn't plan necessarily to do it, but it seemed to be happening. And I was like, I'm just going to lean.
I love Something's Haunted in the Coffee Shop AU. Give it to me.
I did do one where they bought a haunted chair. I don't know if you remember the like, it went around the internet for a while, but it was just a picture of like a chair on the side of the road, and it said, free haunted chair, ghost included, we hope. And I was just like, here it is. This is the genesis of something.
What does a haunted chair do? Does it like poke you in the butt? I don't like.
Well, in the fan fiction that I wrote, it didn't do anything except for ominously rock at the very, very end once it had been debunked that it was haunted. And then I was like, oh, is it? Because that's the type of asshole that I am.
Amazing. We love to see it. What do you think, Catherine? Did you veer towards it or kind of start there?
Yes. I think like the first time, well, like because of Scooby-Doo, like me, just apropos of nothing, always. Just well, because of Scooby-Doo, I wrote like my first piece of like fan fiction before I knew of the concept of fan fiction was like a Scooby-Doo story that I wrote in like cursive spook font because I was like,
Yes.
duh, like I have to. I know cursive now, so like I need to like double flex and like make it spooky cursive. So I think like I've definitely always wanted to write scary things. Maybe it's also like part of that too is like someone, well, generally not true in all horrors, but in a lot of them, someone survives in the end. And like, so I think like trying to figure out how that happens is like really cathartic as a reader, and like to have that experience, like going through a story and being like, who is going to get out? Is anyone going to get out? And how are they going to do it? Like, I feel like coming up with those scenarios like all the time, like watching different like horror media and reading different books, like that sort of was like a genesis for like me branching from my like Scooby-Doo fan fiction into my own stories.
Yeah, I love that.
What was the monster?
I don't remember because I was like in seventh. I was like in second grade, but I know there was like a house, but I don't think I like had like a concept of like I didn't think I really knew metaphor, so I don't think like the house had any good reason to be haunted. It wasn't like a person or anything. It was just like, it's so scary. Like the end.
I love the house could not be haunted because I didn't know about metaphors. Like you need the structure of metaphors to do a haunting. Amazing. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I mean, again, same. I think the earliest thing that I recall writing from like beginning to end was a school project, and it was like about a haunted airplane, and there was like a body in the luggage hold. And it was like we had to do it for school, and everyone else's was like a page and a half, 2 pages, because we had to like handwrite, and mine was like 19 pages. I just remember like unfurling the paper and being like, this is great. But yeah, I think I was also in camp. I just kind of always introduced elements of it until finally I was like writing a full-blown horror novel, and no one could stop me. Ha 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 ha. On that note, what is your dream horror project to work on? Yeah.
You go.
Oh no! This was the one that I don't know. I know I said I'd take it for the team. Oh goodness. Okay. So I don't know, like IP wise, which is intellectual property, which is basically like existing content. So if you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna write a Star Wars. Ooh, a Star Wars horror would be good though. Now that I'm sidetracking myself. Wouldn't that be fun? Spooky.
That would be very fun.
Space. That's like Gideon-esque, which I'm finally reading.
Yes. Did you read Dead Silence? Have you read Dead Silence yet?
I have not. Hold on. Let me look it up.
Oh my god. It's actually really like abandoned. It's like abandoned space cruise ship.
I'm making a note.
In space.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd probably like. I love ghosts. Just I haven't actually done many ghosts yet. I say as the last. My short story in The Gathering Dark was ghosts. My current book is ghost adjacent. And the next thing I'm working on is looking to be ghost adjacent as well, or outwardly ghosts.
There you go.
Yeah, I think I want to do more with ghosts. I love ghosts. Yeah, man, love ghosts. So that's probably it. But yeah, this one was the one that I just did empty brain, smooth brain time. So yes, what are your dream horror projects?
I guess I have like so many like ideas that are not yet anything but that. But I guess one of them that I would love to do sometime is like co-write a dual POV horror. Yes, I have some ideas for it, but I need to think about it more, and also like who's gonna do it with me. Like half the word count, like yeah,
That's the pitch. That's the only pitch.
That's it.
Yeah, think about it. At anyone, at everyone, like half the work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
but yeah, like dual POV from like, I'm thinking stalker stalky dual POV, probably adult project, but I'm like, I need to like think about what that is, but I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah. No, that sounds cool. It's like spookier you.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other person is also a
They're
murderer,
definitely
but in a
twisted. It's
different-
going to be like two twisted individuals
Yeah.
written by two twisted individuals. And half the word count.
And half the word count.
Half the word you just keep. Guys, did I mention so many fewer words?
Yeah.
The book is still done.
Just saying.
I would be into it.
I'd be into half the word
I think
count.
Half the word count. I'm like, I'll do it. What is it? I don't know. Just less words. Fine.
Whew.
I think IP wise, I would love to do an alien. I don't think I have enough like sci-fi chops in me, but if there were a world in which I could just be like, hey, can I just noodle in here and like have some thoughts about some stuff? Like I feel like I would love to be involved in an alien bit. And then I also have been very much thinking about like, wouldn't it be very, very cool to do like horror graphic novel, like horror comic type situation. I can do art very slowly over a very long period of time, and I certainly can't do dynamic movement type art. So there would have to be like, I would have to find a person and get a person involved, but that's sort of my like secret attic of my brain dream is like, wouldn't it be amazing to describe something super horrifying and then somebody just like put all of those teeth in there or whatever? Like, I think that would be very cool. So that's probably my like pipe dream of someday.
Would
And it would
fun
be
if
something
someone
with a
just
lot of teeth.
came in with teeth. Someone just teeth
It's gotta
supply.
have teeth.
You call it teeth. That would be good. Not that I'm.
There was a film which I do love, but there was a film called Teeth, which is, if you haven't seen it, worth a watch. It's something.
I have it. No.
It's about vagina dentata.
I've heard of it. I wasn't sure if you were going for that one.
That is the one. Yes, that is the only one that I know of.
Yeah, amazing. I have a fun one for us now.
It's been probably since it came out. Yes.
I was gonna say, what's your favorite Halloween costume? Growing up.
It's teeth.
Just going as a tooth. Yeah. What was your favorite Halloween costume?
Oh, me and my boyfriend a couple of years ago, we went as Frog and Toad, and I was Toad, bragging.
So sweet. I love Toad supremacy.
Like for no reason. I didn't have to stunt for no reason, but I am.
but you are, and you deserve to as a toad.
Amazing.
I think whenever we do frog and toad bits, I'm usually Frog, because Frog is the one who's like, let's go outside, and Toad is like, no,
Yeah.
I am under a blanket, and that's just like Emily all winter. I was a bat for many Halloweens of my life, so that was probably I'm pretty sure my mom made it, and I'm pretty sure it was just like a leotard that had like wings that you could like that were attached, and then I had like a headband with ears, and that was the entire thing of the costume. But I did love that guy.
That's
Tori?
great.
What about your favorite?
I'm cycling through now because I had an answer and then I was like, but wait, what about college? But no, college was all bad, and I don't remember what I went as other than like the Little Mermaid ones. I went as a peacock one time. That was great because I got to wear like a big floofy skirt of like many colors. But I went as like a night fairy. You know how they have like the gimmicky costumes?
Yes.
So it was just a fairy, but instead of like iridescent colors, it was like black tulle.
Like a goth fairy.
Yes. So I was a goth fairy with like big fairy wings. It was great.
I love this.
It was a good one. I was so
tracks.
pleased.
This is all tracking.
Is it tracking with our personalities?
Yes.
Yeah, we love a good goth fairy. Just a reminder to our audience members who are joining us, we do have a question thing that you can just pop in your questions if you have any questions for any of our panelists. We'll go to them in about 10-15 minutes. Yeah, so circling back, if you were in a story, would you be the hero or the villain, or would you get murdered on like the second page? I think I'd get murdered.
Yeah. I would get murdered, honestly.
I think if it was a hot vampire, I think my odds of survival go down significantly.
I would die.
Yeah, if there's like a seductive, immortal being, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I would just like simp and then be murked.
Listen, better men than us have
Yeah,
died that way.
true.
That's honorable. I feel like it really depends. Like, I feel like it has to be a situation that I would want to survive. Like, because if it's like, if we're in the ocean or something, I am immediately letting myself I'm just drowning. I will just like stop swimming and just be done. Like, I don't want to survive in the ocean because it's not going to get better for me in the ocean. If we're on land, depending on what's trying to murder us, maybe I'm going to.
Yeah. Seems very terrain dependent for you.
Yes.
I'm just thinking like help is in sight and you're in the ocean and you're like, guess I'll die.
Yes. If I fell off a boat into the ocean and the boat was still right there, I would be like, no, goodbye. Like, I can't get back on.
Done.
I'm not a good climber either. Like, ladders, like, even if they're not in the water, I don't see that going well for me. So it's just better for everyone if I just sort of like let the sea take me at that point. I do feel like I'm sure there's a scenario in which I would be a villain. I'm sure we all have a scenario, but I feel like I play video games for Emily, so she can watch her stories, and we did Resident Evil.
Cute.
It's fun for me because I get to play video games and she does not do well at them. But we played Resident Evil, and the whole thing is like you're going to rescue your baby or whatever, and you have to go into all of these horrible, horrible, terrifying places. And she was like, I would just go home. I don't care how much he likes this baby. I would just go home. And I was like, okay, but what if it was Fern, though, which is our dog? And she was like, shit. Like, now I have to go into so if there was a scenario where it was like me defending like Fern or my other human loved ones, I could become villainous, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it could be fun.
It could be fun. It could be.
Yeah. Who knows? Right. So, vaguely on the villainous track, what is the most creative death that you have written or that you've set out to write? Without spoilers. This is a hard one too. Now brain empty. I don't know.
I want you to tell us, because I feel like I'm sort of thinking it might be in your new one that I want to read, that you never responded to my tweet about me reading.
I need to respond. I saw it and then everything went downhill and I was like, my entire life. Recipient or followers of this chat get an early look at my new book. That's without spoiling. I would say there's like some weird like culty deer things. So like sorry to animal situations, but like culty deer death is probably up there. Is like that's pretty weird. It takes like a pretty hard spin into like the ritual territory briefly, yes, and then spins right back out of it. Maybe.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Quick sidebar. I love that.
Yeah. So that's fun. We're in the woods. Yes. I know that was a hard question.
Yeah, it is hard. I'm struggling. I guess like wait, sorry, what was it? Like the most gruesome or
weird? Creative, but gruesome is creative.
Okay. I think probably in my my work in progress, there's like sort of this like campy death, which is like very like Rocky Picture Horror Show, which I just saw. Yes. So I was like, oh my God, it's sort of like that. But I had fun with it. And yeah.
I feel like you couldn't sell either of us on a book faster than saying like Rocky Horror, and we're like, there.
Done.
Done.
I love a campy death. I love a campy death.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting. I feel like probably my most creative, I mean, I guess the monster does some pretty upsetting stuff with people's bodies in It Looks Like Us. So probably one of those, but I won't. There's more than one, which is also not a spoiler, kind of. A couple people get sort of turned inside out, kind of. And those are probably the ones that I would say are the most involved. I would love to do something like a fun, like campy horror. I feel like it's so hard to do like horror comedy. And I'm always so like when people get it right and do it well, it's just my favorite thing, because I feel like it's so hard. The line is so hard to walk.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to do in like book form. You know, like, just slightly. I mean, maybe not slightly easier, but like it's just a bit easier on screen.
Yeah, I think because like you get tone so quickly on screen, and like you would have to like make sure to really put that in there in writing through like, I don't know, like inflection, reaction, like just like various like levels of description.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do slapstick on screen in a way that you can't really like if somebody falls and somehow cuts their own head off, like falling, just tripping, like that's on a page, it's kind of like, oh God, no, it's still really sad. But if it happens really fast on the screen, you're just kind of like, whoa, like.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't just be like, they fall and their head fell off,
Yeah.
There's not.
You either have to describe it way too much and then it goes back into being like dark and you're spending too much time on it, or they're like, did you mean to type something else here that wasn't their head falling off? Was it a different?
Right. If it's too brief, no one believes it.
Yep. They're like, that must have been a different word that wasn't kill. You meant to say kiss. And you're like, no, I did. It was kill.
Kill.
Okay.
Speaking of things that we're working on, though, are we doing nano? Is everyone nanoing about? That's okay. You've got like 4 days to decide.
I don't know yet.
I am technically going to do it. I've said that I will do it, so I'm going to do it. What about you? Are you gonna, Tori?
I do it every year, so I feel like it's kind of like a foregone.
Do you really?
I do.
Do you successfully do it every year?
This is okay. I think I've been unsuccessful like twice or 3 times, but I've done it for like. This is actually the worst part about me. I think I've done it for like 13 or 14 years.
Oh my God.
I was doing nano before I was like a legal adult. Like long. So I feel like it's the one thing that I'm like, my brain is like, November, we're doing it. I was that kid at Thanksgiving that was just like typing upstairs. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is amazing. I'm like slightly afraid of you right now in a very admiration-based way.
My project graveyard is unbelievable. Just all the abandoned things.
That's amazing, though.
Oh,
wait. So, what are you working on? Do you have a plan yet? Do you have a thing that you're working on?
So I just turned in book 4. So I don't know if it's technically considered book 3 or book 4 because the anthology I kind of consider like 0.5. Because like it wasn't like word count. It wasn't just me the whole time.
You're like, I wrote some of those.
I know, it was like a 4,000 word count book for me. That's not counting the other work that went into it. But yeah. Well, yeah, it was stressful. But so I'm not really like, I need to figure out something to do. Basically, I have a few ideas, but it's not like I have anything that I like need to do.
So wait, when you do it, are you like fully, because I'm also cheating, like I'm going to go into it with like 30 pages and an outline. So when you do nano, are you like literally taking like the seed and then like putting it in the ground and then like just from scratch? Is that how you usually do it?
Sometimes it depends on the year. I mean, so in the past, I would just start with like the seed and then just do it. No, well then I would spend like the whole like first week like planning, and then like everything else I would just write. But yeah, I think since things have kind of gotten out of my hands, really, with like, oh, you have to write this thing or you're getting this thing ready. I've started with like outlines and chapters and like goals. We all need goals, but I think this year I'm just going into it like, whatever happens, happens.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just vibes.
Just vibes. Really,
oh
it is.
God.
It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
So that's
wow.
That is fun. So just last question before we switch over. Here he is. Hello.
Well, yes. Let's go with last question.
I was gonna say I could do words are hard. I could skip the last question, but it was just gonna be either what are you working on now or what's next. But do you want to do that last?
I was eventually going to do that, so let's do that now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. What are you working on now? / what's next?
I have 2 things that are sort of orbiting. One of them is werewolves, and one of them is pirates, and I will hopefully do one of them for nano. Hopefully,
you guys are so inspirational.
Or chaotic.
No, that was me fully panicking and being like, I should have something to send to Page Street, because what if I stop having momentum and then I perish immediately? So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna here are these things, and I'm pretty sure that I like, if they do like them, which is not a guarantee, I still have to write them at some point. So I was like, maybe I'll just take it. take a whack at those. But
can take
you
a
said you
whack.
have a whip, though. You have a work in progress. So what's that?
Me?
Yes. What's your
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that one is like done. So it's just like its fate. Its
Okay.
fate is like to be determined. But like hopefully like someone buys it. I think it's cute. So
That is
and
about
then
it.
I guess like now I'm like between projects. So I'm just like, oh no, like if I don't have something like right now, I will die or like I'm gonna explode. So I need to quickly have something to do. Otherwise, like I'll just I don't know. Like something will fall on my head if I don't,
perish?
Yep.
I guess. So I'm like figuring that out and I have like 5 days before I
Write the half of the
Oh yeah, I could.
the
I
part.
could, and then like either I could do the other half in like a different mental state, so then I would be a different person, or
Yes,
get like
yes.
someone else to do it. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
This has been really helpful for me. This
Okay.
class, personally.
Glad we're doing some good brainstorming.
Yeah, thank you for helping.
Okay, so Tori, you have the one that's done. You have the one that's been announced.
Yes. So I
Which I do want to hear more about. Are you doing number 4?
It's 3.5/4.
Oh,
It's called My Throat an Open Grave, and it's
Just so good.
it's a Bible verse.
Such a good title.
But it's basically like about a girl whose baby brother is stolen by like the wood demon, the local wood sprite. And then she has to, in like a labyrinthine arrangement, kind of go in and retrieve the
Yes.
baby. Yeah, there's a lot of David Bowie in it.
Yay!
Yeah, but so
Yes.
that's happening. I think I can't remember when that's coming out. It says early 2024, but it might be late 2023 because I don't know how publishing seasons work, actually.
Who does?
especially over the last 2.5 years, right?
Yeah. It's fine. So that's happening eventually. All right.
Yay!
We'll hand it back to you.
All right, we have some questions here, and don't forget, if you have any out there who are watching that want to submit them now, go ahead and do so before it's too late. First one up for everyone. By the way, I'm going to do this like school marm style, and I'm going to go through alphabetical order by last name.
Wow.
Oh,
So
no.
sorry, Alison
Oh, wait.
Ames. What is the strangest thing you have researched for a book? Allison.
This is actually I can do this one almost without thinking about it. When I was writing Covenant, I was researching basically ancient blood sacrifice rituals and how they did that. And she mentions that in the book they used to like cut an animal in half and then walk through the cut apart halves to like signify the covenant they were making and like their acknowledgement of what would happen if they broke it, which I guess was to be cut in half. But I had a notebook that was full of instructions, detailed instructions for blood sacrifice. And I did leave that at a job interview at the place where I still work today. And they did read it. So
This is what's going to happen if you don't hire me.
yeah,
By
exactly.
the way, no pressure.
Did you get the job?
Expected salary.
Blood.
Yes, I will be paid in blood. Thank you.
Oh my god, that is
Amazing.
wonderful. What about you, Tori?
I remember for The Devil Makes 3, I did like so much research on like specific inks and papers and the construction of like paper and ink. None of it made it into the book. And I think that's why it was like staggering because like I had like again pages and pages and pages of like this is how paper works. And then yeah, that just got scrapped. There was supposed to be more like technical information that just didn't make it.
It's always
Which
the
is fine.
toughest when you've spent probably hundreds of hours
Mhm.
on research and like it either makes it like as a paragraph, a sentence, or not at all.
Yeah. There's so many things that are like, oh, I've spent so much time in this. Like, this is a
Yeah.
sentence.
But the
You feel very
perfect
proud.
sentence.
Yeah. You feel proud of that sentence, but like, wow. time dump.
And what about you, Catherine?
For Direwood, I looked at a lot of like old like church like layouts and like blueprints and about electricity too, because I wanted to like try and date like the structure appropriately. And I got really excited about like knowing specific like rooms where electricity might be like early on, like turn of the century. So I actually had like one room have electricity because I had like learned about it. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And I like did this, so it has to be in here. And then my editor rightfully was like, why? Like, so I had to take it out, and it like made sense to take it out, but I was like, but this is my random electricity knowledge that's gone. But that's okay.
This is period
No
accurate.
No worries.
Confidence.
And then
My
like,
emotional support electricity room.
yeah, I was holding on to it so tightly, like, oh my God, electricity. I know about this, and it's I'm just gonna like put it. No, it's gone.
My emotional support electricity room. I love it.
Yeah. So that was gone, and then for my pending project, rate of like decay for like corpses, like decomposition, like how that looks in phases. And a really good book for that is Stiff by Mary Roach. I love Mary Roach. It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
There's like a
good.
Okay, wait. Have
Body
you read
Farm.
Smoke Gets in Your Eyes?
Yeah. I love the Body Farm.
Excellent Body Farm content.
Okay, this is a weird tangent, but talking about cats earlier and body farms. The Body Farm, they I think this was a few years ago before the pandemic. They had a whole bunch of different bodies laid out to track decomposition in like the open air, and then at night 2 cats got in.
Oh.
And started to eat the bodies. But instead of them like stopping the project or like trying to catch the cats, they're like, we're gonna let this ride. And the cats each night returned, but only ate the bodies that they started eating.
Oh.
Interesting.
Exactly. So they're like,
That is interesting. That would be me as a scientist too, just like
I think we're all filing this away for like
all 3 of us. Yeah, I was about to say, just logging that away.
what is it about these bodies that these cats find delectable?
Yum yum yum. So I did an anthropology degree, and I really wanted to be a forensic anthropologist. And my really wonderful Canadian professor was a forensic anthropologist, which involves like a lot of like decomposition. And she was telling us about her like doctoral project in Canada, where they were seeing how like synthetic fibers impacts decay. So they had all of these pig carcasses, and then they dress them up in lingerie and then like put them in a field to see what happened. And like the Canadian Mounted Police found them.
Oh my God.
And they were like, guys, because they hadn't like done the like necessary forms or something like that. So yeah, it threw off like years of
They didn't file the papers.
Yeah, they were like, this is animal sacrifice.
Finding this.
This is bad. Yeah.
Some weird ritualistic killers out here dressing up these poor pigs.
I know, right?
All right. For each of you, going school marm style again. For everyone, what personal writing rules do you try to keep to? Allison.
Oh, God, that's just not even... I should have rules. I should have so many rules that I do not have and that I break constantly. The one rule that I like stick to, and it doesn't really come up anymore because I'm doing fiction now, but I had a thesis advisor in undergrad that broke me. So I can't watch a lot of documentaries because they do this thing in like historical writing or historical narration where they do the like, he was elected king and he would later go on to become super king. And my advisor was like, he did go on. It's in the past. He would not anything. He did it. It's over. And so anytime I hear that or like come across it, I sort of have like an internal clenching that happens. But I guess personal rules, I'm trying to swear less. That's not going amazing.
More like a
and
guideline.
It's all of them are much more pirate code style, trying to do less swearing, trying to do less of the most graphic body horror that can be had in any given situation. But yeah, I don't really have anything that I like until later, until I go back through it and I'm like, I should have done none of this, but those are like situational rules, I guess, that I don't realize exist until I've broken them.
Fair. What about you, Tori?
Yeah, I think mine are also more like guidelines. And the other thing is, like, I used to be a lot more strict with myself and more regimented. And this year, I've just been trying to be really nice to myself. So that's my latest big rule: is be nice to yourself, because not everything's going to be perfect. But otherwise, I try to write at least every week, since I don't write every day anymore. I try not to read anything or go back and edit anything until I finish the draft. And that's only with the first
That's a
draft.
very
Well, I just like, my brain is like, but what if we fix it now? And I'm like, no, mustn't. Yeah, so
wise.
I'll just get hampered. So I try not to do anything until it's like completely down. I also try and do a fast draft to start out with. So usually it's like a lower word count. And then my other thing is, I tend to be fairly impatient as a person, and I'm trying to get better about not doing that. So I try and I used to like finish a project and then immediately read it, and that doesn't help. So I try to let it like sleep in a drawer for at least 2 weeks, and then I have to read it at least once and fix a bunch of stuff, even if it's a later draft, before I send it to anyone. Yeah, that's essentially it.
Oh wow.
I think be nice to yourself is like the best rule anyone anywhere could ever have. So I want everyone to take that to heart.
If only we followed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Catherine?
Yeah, like a lot of what's already been said, like don't self-edit when it's like drafting time, to like have drafting time and then revision time, and keep those like separate, like as much as possible, like not self-editing in your head, because that can really slow you down and also like muddle the writing too. So I think just like let the words go where they are going and don't worry about it as much. Yeah, basically like try not to worry about it as much. And like I think it's good to be open to like going sideways, because like why not? Like you're gonna, like, if you love a project, like you're gonna look at it like so many times. So like you might as well see like where it can and wants to go in some ways, because like it could be cool. Your characters could do things that are like, you know, I always like veer off my like it's fine. I always like veer away from my outlines, and like I make new outlines and like sub outlines, and it's just like it's never like they're never lining up, and that's because they're like they've become like more of their own people. So I think it's just like they have to like do what they need to do, like, and then like I'll examine it later, but I think like letting them breathe a little bit.
Holy, excellent. All right. And given that this is spooky month, have any one of you experienced any real-life supernatural happenings? Allison.
I do believe that I saw a ghost one time. I had a roller derby scrimmage that was prom themed, and I got a prom dress at like a thrift store, and it had a weird stain on it, and I washed it and I hung it like on one of my closet doors, and I didn't put any of this together, but I woke up in the middle of the night a couple nights after that, and there was a girl walking across my bedroom like in front of the open closet, and it was so real that I didn't even like my immediate thought was like, I need to ask her if she's good. Like like my immediate thought was like, oh, somebody is very lost. Like a real person has become, yeah, like I was literally rolling over to like reach for the plate to be like, hey, are you okay? Because this is not where you're supposed to be. Like it was did not even cross my mind, but I turned on the light and then she was there. And then I just sort of didn't think about it and went back to sleep. And then I was having breakfast with one of my teammates and her mom the next day. And I mentioned it and she was like, "You got that dress from a thrift store?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "You got to get rid of that dress." And I was like, haunted prom dress, okie dokie. And then I played roller derby in it and then I gave it back to the thrift store. So hope that was cool with the ghost.
Roller derby released her spirit.
I hope so. God, I hope so. We did win, I think. I can't remember. But I'll say
there
we
we
did.
go.
She had a good time.
Wanted to win one.
What about you, Tori?
I was babysitting. I also feel like I think I've seen a ghost, but again, who believes in what? Plane of existence, spooky. Yeah, I was babysitting and I was like inside with the baby, and the other babysitter was outside with the rest of the kids, and like the baby was upstairs and I was sitting in an armchair in like the main room, and I swear I saw something like come down the hallway and go into the basement, like a man. And I was certain for a second, like I explained it away to myself that it was the dog, and the dog was with the grandparents at the vet. So I was like, so yeah, I was like, I don't know what else it would have been because it wasn't the other babysitter because I could like hear her outside. So unless somebody came into the house, then yeah, spooky.
I'd rather think of supernatural things instead of that.
Yeah. Sometimes the supernatural is like so much better than like real people. So.
What about you, Catherine?
Like there's just a guy in the basement now. Yeah, that's not better.
No, none of that.
I am like convinced I've also seen ghosts like when I was like a teen and preteen, and I also had this like weird experience. This is not a ghost. I don't believe in this, but at the time I really did, because it was my vegan era. And I'm no longer a vegan, but it was my vegan era. And I was also, I think, a teen or preteen. And I was like so like guilty about meat and like animals and like how people treat animals that like I swear my leather couch, like family couch, had like a heartbeat. It was like so disgusting. I think I was just like,
oh no,
I was just like filled with so much guilt, I think, that like I was just like, what is this like pounding? And I'm pretty sure it was my own heartbeat because I was like so nervous and like felt so guilty. But I was like, oh my God, it's like thumping out of the couch. Like it was really horrifying.
That is horrifying, though. That is a horrifying image.
It was
the telltale heart with the couch.
Good story fodder, though.
Yes.
Keep that.
Good. Absolutely in your back pocket. This one is for Alison Alone. Was John Carpenter's horror classic The Thing an influence on your writing It Looks Like Us?
Yes, so much. The most. Yes. I love The Thing. I love it with all of my heart and soul. And I wanted very much to do an homage to him and to that. So there is a lot of The Thing DNA in It Looks Like Us. So hopefully if you are a fan of The Thing, hopefully you will also enjoy this and feel that I did it justice.
Perfect. All right. Just because we're almost out of time, one last question. What horror movie and what book impacted you the most as authors? Back to you. Actually, we'll go in reverse. Just be nice. What about you, Catherine?
Horror movies. Oh my gosh, I love so
horror
many.
Movies or books?
God. Okay, so there's this movie by this director Satoshi Kon called Perfect Blue, which has been.
Oh my God, I love that one.
Yes, I feel like so many of the themes like really resonate with me, like perfection and like masks and like doppelgangers, and it has like pop girlies, which I haven't like done yet, but I'm like so excited for horror pop girlies. But yeah, that movie just has like everything I love in it. So I guess that's
obsessed fandom and
it's like it's so much like toxicity of like and then like expectations, and then
Mhm.
you know, being chased.
Man, I need to find that on Blu-ray. I have it on like DVD, and I swear it's degrading because, you know, like any other electronic media, like DVDs and CDs, like, okay, I'm wearing out. What about you, Tori?
I love being in the middle because I can think. I am gonna be basic and say As Above, So Below is such like an aesthetically good film. And then I'm wild card time. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I love Pride and Prejudice and Zombies so much. I think that has informed way too much of like my creative process. And then book wise, I mean, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I feel like is such just like a monolith of good spooks. I grew up with it. I feel like so many other people who eventually went on to write is also like, yes, I remember that, and it had like such a big place in my childhood, like flipping through and seeing the pictures and things. Yeah, so those.
And what about you, Allison?
I think as far as like specific to my writing and I guess my like who I've become as a person, there's two that sort of immediately come to mind in terms of my whole like underground is bad, don't go there. The Descent is maybe my favorite horror movie. It's the way that it's done is perfect. Everyone in it is perfect. I think the way that it's written, regardless of which ending you prefer, is perfect. And I just appreciate it so much. And then also when I was too young, I read it was a Nevada bar book, and the park ranger has to go. It's like it's technically a thriller. It's not technically horror, but like there's somebody gets murdered in like Carlsbad. Basically, it's been a very long time since I read it, but she has to go into the cave for whatever reason to like recover the body of this person who's been murdered, and then also solve the murder. And just so much of the lightlessness and claustrophobia, and then also having to solve the murder while being down in the cave with potentially the murderer is seared into my consciousness in such a way that I can only assume that it has had an effect on me and the way that I am. So those are probably the two that I would off the top of my head cite as being very important, but also The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling, which is much more recent, but like just writing wise made me so aware of like how good you can do stuff if you are really good at it. And it made me want to it made me want to be a better writer and a different type of writer and just a writer who could have written that book, because I definitely am not, but hugely influential as I move forward and try to become better, I think.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm so glad you could be here with us. Thank you so much, Allison, Tori, and Catherine. Last thing though, before we go, where can people find you on social media so they can see up what you're doing? Allison, you first.
I am at 2 Furiosa, like Mad Max, but also like Too Fast, Too Furious.
Awesome.
I don't do a lot, but I'm there.
Are you on like Twitter, Instagram?
Oh, I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram.
Perfect. And what about you, Tori?
I'm on Twitter as at Tori Bove, TORIBOV, and on Instagram at Tori Bovalino, TORIBOVALINO. Wow, I couldn't spell my own name there. Sorry. I'm like, woo, that didn't go well.
And what about you, Catherine?
I'm bluish_orb on Twitter, which is like a fan fiction joke for myself for no reason. I should be more professional probably. And then my Instagram account is Catherine U Writes, which is more professional.
Don't feel like you need to be professional at all. If Jiren J. Zhao can get away with having cosplay photos as her author photos, you're good. You're fine. Goals. Everyone out there, thank you so much for being here again. Don't forget, you can still purchase the books. If you live in the United States, we ship across the country. We even ship out of the United States. Some certain countries no, just because of weird, how shipping is these days. But yeah, you can get DIREWOOD, It Looks Like Us, or any of their backstock. Again, The Gathering Dark is currently on back order, but you can still order it, and we'll make sure to get those really cool book plates that were signed by all the contributing authors to you as well. Hope everyone has a good night. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mysterious Galaxy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.